Good morning, second graders. Ms. Jersky here, ready to go over day 6 of your packet with you. Hopefully everything has been going pretty smoothly with days 1 through 5 so far. And I know some of you are completing the packet ahead of time and then going over it with me through here. And some of you are working it along with me through here, whichever way is best for you. This is just to make sure you understand exactly what's expected of you in this work, so there's no confusion and you're still doing lots of hard work and learning lots of stuff while we're at home. I know this is still kind of weird. We're starting to get used to it, but it's okay. We're going to make the best of it, and you guys are awesome, and I know you're working super hard, so let's jump right into it. Now, we finished on day 4, our first week's worth of morning work. So today we're going to be getting into the new sheet. So you have a second sheet of morning work. This one's probably going to say Unit 5, week number 4 on the top, and that's going to be your morning work for the next 4 days. Again, for days 6, 7, 8, and 9, you're going to have this new packet of morning work that we'll go through each day, and then on Friday, again, we won't have any. So, again, like I said last week, make sure we're keeping up with the sheet because you're going to be doing one little section from it each day. All right, so let's go ahead and get into that. All right, so this first problem here is asking us to circle the pair of words that are homophones. Now, homophones are words that sound the same but have totally different meanings and totally different spellings sometimes. For example, the word blue. She had a blue shirt on. B-L-U-E, like the color. Let me write that up here. So blue, like the color, and then blue like the wind blew. B-L-E-W. You see how those words are spelled differently, have completely different meanings, but if you just said blue and blue, they sound exactly the same. Okay, so we're looking for a pair of homophones, 2 words that sound the same but are spelled and mean different things. So we've got stare and stare, fly and flap, and so and is. Well, fly and flap do not sound the same. So and is do not sound the same. So we can remember, like, if you're having trouble remembering this, a phone. On the phone, you hear the sound that the other person is saying to you. So we can remember homophones, they have the same sound, phone sound. So stare and stare are homophones. This first stare is like to walk up the stairs. Like I walked up the stairs to my house. And the second one is to stare, like to look at something for a really long time. So stare and stare are homophones. They sound the same, but they're spelled differently and do mean different things. Okay, let's look at number 2, which says to circle the meaning of the underlined word rarely. So snow rarely falls in the spring. So we can think about where we live. It's springtime now. It's a little bit warmer outside. The sun's out a little bit longer. We talked about spring and those weather changes that take place. We would expect the weather this time of year to be sunny, warm, rainy. I wouldn't expect it to snow based on how it felt outside. So I can infer based on what I know about spring and snow that rarely probably means that it's not very often. It doesn't mean it never happens. In different parts of the country where it is a little bit cooler during the spring, they do get snow sometimes. But where we live, we don't, but we gotta think about what it's like other places. We could probably say that we never get snow in the spring. However, in some places it does happen, so rarely means that it's not often. Okay? For this next one, we're going to write the 2 words that make up these 3 contractions. I want us to pretend for a second that we're ninjas. Okay? If you need to take a second and put your ninja headband on and get your ninja robes on, we're going to be ninjas for a second. Okay? So we're going to take these contractions and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, hi-ya! And we're going to snap. We're going to hit the contractions in half in ninja mode. And we're going to figure out what 2 words make up that contraction, okay? So the first one we're going to do is don't. So 3, 2, 1, hi-ya! So the 2 words that make up don't, if we slash it apart, would be do and not. And I am going to get a new marker. This one is on its last leg today. So do and not are the two words that make up the contraction. If you're having trouble thinking of those, I like to use them in a sentence. I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that. That always helps me. Okay, you're ready? 3, 2, 1, hi-ya. The two words that make up your, we see the first one, you and are. You're going to be late if you don't hurry. You are going to be late if you don't hurry. Last one, ninjas. Ready? 3, 2, 1, hi-ya. You can even add in a little kick if you need to. There, the two words, we see the first one, they and are. You can see your and their both have that R at the end with the ER. There, they're over there. They are over there. Okay? Now, possessive pronouns is going to be something that we really dig into next week when your teacher starts sending you some videos on your iPad to watch and some other different practices. We're going to switch gears just a little bit from this paper packet to being all on your iPads. And we're really going to hit these possessive pronouns then. So for right now, I'm just going to kind of go over them a little bit and then really dig in about a week, okay? So we know that a pronoun takes the place of a noun. He, she, it, they, them. Possessive pronouns, the word possessive means that you own something. Miss Jersky's marker, Miss Jersky's iPad. So we're replacing that possessive noun, Miss Jersky's cupcake was delicious. I'm replacing Miss Jersky's with a pronoun, which also shows that possession. So instead of she cupcake was delicious, her cupcake was delicious, or she's cupcake was delicious. And the only one that fits here would be her. Her would take the place of Miss Jersky. Miss Jersky's cupcake was delicious. Her cupcake was delicious. And again, we're going to dig into that a little bit more later. All right, so this next one, we've been talking about measurement for about a week now, on top of what you've already learned earlier this year. So how much longer is one toothbrush than the other? Well, let's look at how long the longer one is first, okay? They did a great job lining up here at the 0, going all the way across. I see that first one, I'm going to write that, is 9. And I think it says centimeters. I'm having a hard time reading it on the board. But, okay, and the second one, they did a great job lining it at 0 to its end is 7 centimeters. So how much longer? We're going to use subtraction. So we've got 9 and 7, because remember, subtraction is not the worst. The bigger number, 9, always comes first. So I'm going to write our equation at the bottom. 9, the bigger number, minus 7 equals 2. So how much longer is the one toothbrush than the other? 2 centimeters. You can even see if you look here, there's about a 2 centimeter difference between the two. Okay, super easy on this next part. We're just writing the number for each word. So 517 looks like that in digit form. And 136, we're just taking it from word form to number form. All right, we had something similar to this last week also on our morning work. We just got to write the number 40 on the number line. Well, I've got 10 and I've got 80. And based on what I know about the number 40, I know that 40 is about halfway between 0 and 80. It would be about halfway benchmark number. But I'm not starting at 0 on this number line. I'm starting at 10. So I'm going to draw a little dot right there to show the middle of my line. And know that since I start at 10, I'm going to put 40 just a little bit over here. And if it helps you to do all the numbers, you totally could. You could do 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, and 20. If that helps you to be able to space it out and see it a little bit better. All right, last one. Let's do some subtraction. So 697 minus 463. 7 minus 3 equals 4. 9 minus 6 is 3. And 6 minus 4 is 2. Check that real quick. Yep, looks good. 234. All right, while I get the comprehension sheet out for this next part, the Silly Doctor page, I'm going to erase this and just make sure that we are still recording with no technical difficulties this morning. So you can go ahead and be switching to the next sheet. All right, so this is going to be what we're pulling up next. Yep, looks like we're good. All right, so let's look at this poem. It looks like on first glance, it's called The Silly Doctor. So it says, there once was a doc with fun ways to talk that always would make people laugh. He would make up words like pobly and glurds, and his book sales were high on the graph. But one Monday he opened the door to creatures never seen before, accepted his books, giving him funny looks, and the doc fainted down to the floor. How could they be here? He just was not clear. How could made-up things arrive? They laughed at the thought, because how could they not? He wrote so well they came alive. I love when poems rhyme and have that good rhythm like that. Like I told you guys last week, if you do not have these different marker colors, that is totally okay. Again, you could just number these, and then when you go back in your story, you can number your cited evidence as well. That's totally up to you. And if you want to write the answers to the questions here, you can. We're flexible on this. Okay, so let's look at the first question here. It says, who came to the door? Who came to the door? Well, if you remember a little bit before spring break, we hit on poetry, and we talked about how poems are broken into not paragraphs, but they're called stanzas. So we're going to call this stanza 1, stanza 2, and stanza 3. And we're going to use this to go back and refer to where we're going back in our story. So I don't see anything in the first stanza about anything coming to the door. We're just introducing us to our main character, the doctor who wrote these silly stories. And then the second paragraph, I do see the word, stanza. The second stanza, I do see the word mentioned door there. So let's look there a little bit more closely. It says, but one Monday he opened the door to creatures never seen before. So I'm going to use my blue. He opened the door to creatures never seen before. So who came to the door? Those creatures. All right. I'm going to switch colors now, and I do not have a yellow marker, so I'm just going to switch yellow to pink because pink is pretty, and yellow would be hard to see on here anyways. Okay, second one is asking, what did the doc sell many of? Okay, I don't see the word sell exactly in here, but I can remember I read something about sales in stanza 1, and sales is like the word sell, to sell things, to have lots of sales. So if I go back in stanza 1 here, I can see, and his book sales were high on the graph. So what did he sell many of? He sold many books. Okay? All right, now I'm going to switch to my red color. Way down deep in here. Okay, and this red one is asking us to find where were the creatures seen before. Now, I remember with our blue one just a minute ago, we highlighted to creatures never seen before. So let's keep reading to see if we can find out where they've been seen before. To creatures never seen before, here we go, except in his books. So I'm going to actually do that one kind of red too. To creatures never seen before, except in his books. So where were the creatures seen before? In his books. All right, purple. My purple was drying out a little bit, but I'm going to still see if I can get it to work just for this one. Purple is asking us, why did the creatures come to life? So this author has written these stories. And you know, when you do writing, your teachers, a lot of teachers tell you, write vividly, use a lot of details so that the reader can form a movie in their head. by being so creative and making your writing come alive where the reader's like experiencing what you're writing. So I think that's kind of what's happened here. The creatures come to life based on the writing that he did. And I think that was mentioned in stanza 3. So let's go reread stanza 3 to see if we can find anything there. How could they be here? He just was not clear. How could make up things arrive? They laughed at the thought because how could they not? Oh, here it is. He wrote so well, they came alive. So how did the creatures come to life? We can write because he wrote so well. Very interested to know what creatures it was. All right, switching to the green now. Green says, how did the doc make people laugh? How did the doc make people laugh? Okay, well, I remember seeing that keyword laugh up here in the first stanza, so I'm going to start at the beginning of the first stanza and reread it. Ready? There once was a doc with funny ways to talk that always would make people laugh. Okay, so here he would make people laugh. Let's find out how he made them laugh. He would make up words like pobly and glurds. So how did he make people laugh? By making up words. Kind of reminds me of like Dr. Seuss, something he would do. Some of his words in his book are definitely crazy nonsense words by making up words. All right, last one in orange was asking, when did the creatures arrive? When did the creatures arrive? So I remember in the second stanza was when we talked about them showing up at the door, the ones that the creatures had never seen before, they show up and he says that he fainted. So let's see if we can go back to stanza 2 and find out when they arrived. Very first couple of words. But one Monday, he opened the door to creatures never seen before. So I'm going to take my orange just like that, and I'm going to write Monday. I hope you don't open up your door today on Monday and have creatures never seen before at your front door. That would be crazy. All right, I'm going to give you just a second. And again, if you ever need to pause this, rewind, anything like that, you are welcome to do so. And while I'm getting this erased quickly. All right, so hopefully you guys are rocking and rolling on those daily Study Island practices. And again, if you are having any trouble with getting logged in and finding these assignments, please contact your teacher. They'll be more than happy to help you get that squared away. And again, you log into Study Island, you'll see your active assignments down here, and you are completing Study Island ELA Day 6. So the 10-question practice, Day 6 today. All right, let's go ahead and get that math out. We are rocking and rolling. While you're getting all that squared away, I'm going to go ahead and put up the answers to these quick problems you had to solve. 12, 16, so over here we're 2, 2, 6, 12, 12, 16, 22, 22, and 26. All right, so this sheet that you're completing today is Module 7, Lesson 19. So hopefully you are on track with Zern and you have completed Lesson 18, and you have unlocked Lesson 19. I know that's a little confusing, completing and unlocking. When you unlock a lesson, that's going to be the lesson that you'll do the next day. So hopefully you have unlocked Lesson 19. We're going to practice it together today, and then you will complete Lesson 19 on your iPads, and we will unlock, let me just double check, Lesson 20 later today. Okay? All right, so again, I can't measure with my ruler up here, or it would be a little off because I've got it blown up. But hopefully you either still have that ruler that we mailed you in your packet, or you have your own ruler at home. There are tons of different resources online also that you could just search for a printable ruler if you have a printer at home. I remember also at one point, either this year or last year, you guys' homework planner that you write your homework down in every day, either the front or the back cover used to have a ruler along the edge. If you have run out of other measuring options, that might be something to check into. Okay, so it's really important that we read these directions today because it says to measure each line in inches, so I know my unit, and it says to round the measurements to the nearest inch. So that means, that tells me that not all of these are going to be lined up exactly at an inch, that I'm going to have to determine which one that's closer to or not. And remember, we kind of talked about last week and before where if we measure and it lines up at about halfway between two numbers, like 4.5, 5.5, we're going to go ahead and round up to the nearest inch, to the next inch. Just like when we were rounding numbers, we always round up to the next number, okay? All right, so when I measured this line A with my ruler, I'm using inches again, I saw that it was just a little bit less, well, now that I measure it again, it looks like it's about 5.5, doesn't it? So if it's 5.5 on here, we're gonna round up to 6, okay? So line A, I lined it up at my 0 and I got 5.5, so I go up to the nearest inch, which would be 6. Now for line B here, when I'm lining it up at the 0, I get a little bit less than 2.5. So since it's less than 2.5, that makes it closer to 2, so I'm gonna write 2 here, okay? Now it's asking me to compare, and I like how they gave us these lines here to subtract. So line A was 6 inches minus line B, which was 2 inches, and 6 minus 2 gives me 4 inches. So when I compare them, they are 4 inches. Now this one I accidentally kind of broke apart with my slides up here. That's okay. So when I measure line C, I get a little over 3.5. So it's definitely closer to 4 than it is to 3. So line C is going to be 4, which I'm actually going to switch the slide and rewrite it on there because we're going to need to know it over there. So just a second. Now we'll try to remember that measurement. All right, here we go. So again, we said line C was enough past 3.5 that it was closer to 4. So I'm going to write 4 above line C so I don't forget what it was, okay? And line D is much, much longer. If I line up on 0 for line D, I get really close to 7 inches. So it's asking me to compare line C to line D. Now C was 4 inches and D was 7 inches. So I know when I'm comparing like this, I'm going to subtract, and I know when I subtract, my bigger number comes first. So 7 minus 4 equals 3. Yep. So line C is about 3, oh, they already put inches for me, 3 inches shorter than line D. I could do 7 minus 4, or I could start at 4 and count up to 7 and get 3 inches. Okay, last one. It's asking me to compare line E to line F. Now, hey guys, had a little technical difficulty there, ran out of space on my iPad. So I wanted to just real quickly go over this last problem that got cut off on this math page so we can wrap this one up for today. So it asked me to compare line E to line F. I went ahead and just wrote it up here. If we measure line E, it's much closer to 1 inch than 2. So we're going to round to that closest inch of 1. And then line F was much closer to 5. So when comparing line E and F, we can subtract the bigger number, 5 minus 1, to see that line F is about 4 inches longer than line E. All right, so that was lesson 19 that we just finished. So you are now going to get on Zearn and complete the work for lesson 19 to unlock lesson 20, which is what we'll be discussing tomorrow. So unlock lesson 20 and then hop on over to Study Island to complete your math day 6 assignment along with the ELA day 6. Should be in your active assignment. 10 questions. Shouldn't be hard for you guys at all. So have a great rest of the day and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.